Coach, good morning.
Good morning. What's going on?
What's going on with you, man? You must feel pretty darn good. New deal? A lot of money? It's all good.
Yeah, no.
Right?
It's a good day.
Good day.
So very, I appreciate, everything that, Mark Benson and Robert Jones and Jim Steller, appreciate their commitment to me and our program and my family. And, Jerry Kolosky as well, who I work with closely, is our supervisor for men's basketball. Just really appreciate, their commitment. It's an exciting time.
You going to buy lunch?
Sure.
Okay.
Whoever
wants to come?
Where are we going?
Whoever wants lunch. You name the place, the time, Raj, and just run a tab.
Prime. Zach
we call that a Frank Rocco tab, right?
Yeah, we all know about Frank Rocco. What does a contract like this mean, Will, when it comes to, recruiting and you're trying to get players to come here and the recruits know, hey, we're going to UAlbany. We know the coach is going to be there for a little while. Does that help in that area?
Well, that's the biggest thing, Raj, besides the security for yourself and your family. When it pertains to the job, recruiting is a crazy game nowadays, and it can be used against you in recruiting. But having the 5 years, which is the maximum that the state offers, it's definitely huge for recruiting. Kids want to go to a place where there's a strong possibility that the coach is going to be there during their 4-year, period. There's no guarantees involved, but I think on the recruiting trail, it helps to say, hey, our program has enjoyed success. I have 5 years, a 5-year contract. The university is committed to the program, the coaching staff. It's a win-win. It does nothing but help. And recruiting is the lifeline of your program. You have to get players. You have to get good players. Good players, they want to know who their coach is going to be, or at least there's a strong possibility that the coach is going to be there during their career. And, and anybody that says that that's not important, I think is fooling themselves. Kids want to know coaches' contract situations. It's just the way it is nowadays, and especially at the highest level, the BCS level. I've read a lot of articles the past few weeks. A lot of these kids now are holding out and waiting to sign in the spring. They want to see what's going to happen with the coaching carousel. They want to make sure that whoever they sign with is going to be their coach. So there's a lot that goes into these kids now picking schools, and a lot has to do with the coaching staff and if the coaching staff is going to be in place. And now coaches can leave for jobs at any point in time. That's the nature of the business, but from a recruiting standpoint, it's huge.
We're tied with Will Brown, UAlbany men's basketball coach. New contract, 5 years, $350,000 per. Good deal for Will. Hey, let me ask you this question: did you ever think you'd be here? People ask me that all the time. Hey, do you ever think when you came to Albany that you would be here for? It was 30 years for me, Will, in August. I'll ask you, when you became the head coach and you were the interim, I believe when they fired Scott Beaton, I was there for all of that. Did you ever think you'd be here in this spot 16 years later, Will?
Well, it's crazy about that, Roger. To answer your question, no, because what happened is when, mid-year or even sooner than that of my first year, when they let Scott Beaton go and they named me the interim coach, I sat there and I'm like, you know what? This never ends up well for the interim coach. He's here to just steer the ship, do the best job he can, make sure the kids are having a positive experience and get the team through the season. And I'll be honest with you, that year, those kids really embraced what I was trying to do, and we were able to win some games. And, Karen Hitchcock, who was the president at the time, and Dr. Lee McElroy, decided to give a 29-year-old kid, an opportunity to be the permanent head coach, and I'll be forever grateful. And I think at that point in time, at 29, you sit there and you're like, you're going to win big, you're going to be the next coach at the Boston Celtics or Kentucky. That's just really, the mindset. And then I really watched this business evolve, and I learned an awful lot. A lot of people that were running and leaving for the first better job or the job that offered them more money, a lot of those coaches 2 or 3 years later are unemployed. So the one thing I did learn is I have a great appreciation for this university, for this program, for this opportunity, and I think it's a situation where it's become a really good job. It's a situation where I think we can compete consistently for America East Conference championships. Mark Benson has come in here as a new athletic director a couple of years ago, and he has a vision, he has a plan, wants to do big things. This has become a really good job, and I'm really happy here. It's a great area to raise a family, and I'm not sure I'll be the next Doc Sowers because what Doc accomplished here, the longevity is so impressive, and it's a rarity nowadays in college basketball. But I started saying this a couple of years ago. If somebody told me today that I was going to be here as long as Doc Sowers was here, that would be a pretty remarkable feat. I'm not sure I want to be coaching as long as Doc was coaching, but I think this is a great place, and I'm excited to be here, and, hopefully I can be here for a long time.
Will, I'm going to dial it back, not as far as Roger's question, but it was 5 or 6 years ago. I remember that you had, I think it was 1 year left on your deal, and there was a great sense of desperation. I remember one game in particular. It was a loss to Boston at home. I'm sure you remember it. And I left the CEFCU and I walked out with your wife, and we were having a conversation, and I could just tell the sense of desperation. And you fast forward 6 years or 5 years, whatever it was. And here you are. You've been in 3 NCAA tournaments since then. You just signed a new 5-year deal. Have you given yourself even just a minute to stop and appreciate, where you're at and where you've come? Yes, in the 16 years, but just in the last 5 or 6 years alone to becoming fully solidified.
Well, Zach, I think you have to understand the business that you're working in. Regardless of what anybody says, you have to win. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to wins and losses. We pride ourselves on recruiting great kids, and we have great kids in our program. They do very well in the classroom, and they represent our program, the athletic department, and the university extremely well. And they're heavily involved in the community. Myself and my wife take great pride in representing the university, this program, the athletic department, and we try to do as much as we can in this community. You can only control what you can control. You have to understand at this level, man, it is hard. One team's going to the NCAA tournament every single year. I think I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And I appreciate this job every single day. There's only 350 of them, in the country. These jobs are hard to get, so I value that. I appreciate every day. It would be very difficult for me to actually leave this place because it gave me my first opportunity, as a 29-year-old kid. Now 16 years later, I'm still a kid, but I never think about losing a job, keeping a job. This is the business that we're in. I just try to make sure that, I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that our program is operating at a high level, and that has a lot to do with what we're doing in the community, what we're doing academically, and what we're doing, on the court. So we're just trying to get better, every day, every year. And this level is hard. It's cyclical. It really is. It's easy to get good. It's hard to sustain it. And, we fight like heck every year sustain it. Easier said than done, but we're excited about where we're at. We're excited about our future. Really excited about this upcoming season because of the great unknown. We lost 3 all-conference perimeter players, so this is going to be a great challenge for us that we're excited about. But I think guys like you and Raj who do a wonderful job. I think you have to look at it from a different perspective, than I look at it. I'm living it every day because this is my job. But I think you have to look at it from the fact, had maybe a bad year or two or a mediocre year or two, a year or two left on a contract. And I think that's the norm. I think that's the way you got to look at it. I think I've got to put my head down and I've got to march forward. I've got to have tunnel vision. And I think if you're confident in how you operate, I think if you're confident in your abilities, if you're confident in your staff's abilities, and you have the support of your administration, you march forward and, you try to put your program in the best position to have success.
Coach, you've earned it. Great work, and look forward to the upcoming season. One of these days we'll sit down and talk about who these new guys are. Because people say to me, how's UAlbany going to be? You're the voice of the Great Danes. I say, I have no clue. I don't know any of these new guys, so until I see them on the floor, it's hard for me to have an opinion. So I'll be popping into a practice. By the way, when's your first practice?
We practice October 7 is our first practice.
That's Monday.
The way the NCAA now, what happens is you can backtrack 42 days from your first game. So technically, we can actually start practice tomorrow, but you can only practice 30 days in that 42-day window leading into your first game. So for me, I can't, I'm sitting here and I don't want to practice 2 days, take a day off, 2 days, take a day off. So I found a comfort level, which was October 7th, where we can have some consistencies, where we can practice 4 or 5 days in a row, then take a day off, 4 or 5, then take a day off. Because I'm big, I want to make sure our guys are retaining everything that we're teaching, and I think that's hard to do, practicing 2, taking 1 off, practicing 2, taking 1 off. So there's the method behind my madness for starting practice October 7th. But, hey, I also want to thank you and Zach for all your support and what you do for our program and for our athletic department and for the university. You guys are the best, and I know we don't say it enough, so I want to make sure that, I thank you guys for everything that you're doing. And it's a good time to be at the university. I think, Mark Benson really has a great vision and some tremendous ideas, and he and his staff are doing, great things that we're looking forward to being a part of.
Coach, appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
Thanks,
It's our pleasure. We've enjoyed the long-term relationship for sure. Go and greet the rest of the media at 11:30. Make sure you tell them that WNYT broke the story last night at 6. That this is old news. Can you do that?
It's amazing the connections that you guys have. You guys reported that I was getting an extension that I didn't even know I was getting. So you guys must have a crystal ball in front of you. But I promised the Rock Man I'd give him a shout out. He says Zach Bai is blocking his calls, so I have to give him a shout out. And Zach, he told me to ask you about dropping the microphone last night. I don't know what that's all about, but I'll leave you guys with that. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks a lot, Will.
By the way, that is the one and the only Rock Man. That's Will Brown. Congratulations.